morning, everyone. We hope you're all keeping safe and healthy, and thank you for taking the time to attend Traffic Logix virtual webinar. Social distancing has made it challenging for us to meet face-to-face with the rapidly evolving nature of events surrounding COVID-19 and the unprecedented levels of disruption and uncertainty around the world. Despite Texas's attempt to return to pre-COVID normals, increased speeding has continued to remain a constant problem within your cities. Traffic has not yet returned to previous levels, so drivers are continuing to take advantage of more open roads with reckless driving. Today, we will be discussing some of the latest innovations in traffic calming and speed control to give you the visibility you need to ensure your traffic infrastructure remains operational and optimized when you need it most. My name is Karen Amzlag, and I'm the Inside Account Manager at Traffic Logix for the state of Texas. I will be facilitating today's session as well as a subsequent question and answer period at the end of our webinar. Before we begin, I would like to notify you that this session is being recorded and all attendees will be receiving a recording of this webinar. On your right-hand side of your screen, you will see a question box. Please feel free to ask any questions or make any comments throughout this session. At the end of the webinar, we will leave about 15 minutes to answer as many questions as we can cover. To give you a quick background on Traffic Logix, we are the global leader of traffic calming solutions. We are unique in the market because we offer a complete toolbox of solutions, including modular solutions such as speed humps, speed cushions, and speed tables, vertical deflectors, as well as web-based radar feedback signs, speed cameras, and data collectors. We have been established since 2003 and have 6 offices nationwide with our head office in Spring Valley, New York. Traffic Logix also has international offices in Canada, Mexico, India, and Europe. We have countless installations nationwide and globally. Everything at Traffic Logix is done in-house, including assembly, research and development, as well as technical support. Furthermore, we have a seasoned sales professional named Bill Isaacson, and he is well regarded in the traffic calming industry. He is a Dallas resident for more than 20 years and has a deep connection with Texas communities, providing the most excellent service to our municipal clients at large. He has earned their trust, and repeat business has been based on more than 80% of referrals from satisfied customers. Without further ado, please allow me to introduce you to your presenter today, Mr. Brett Farron. Brett Farron is a West Coast sales manager, and he has over 20 years of hands-on experience in the traffic safety industry. He is based out of Ogden, Utah, and has been with Traffic Logix for over 10 years. He is a skilled professional, believes in the products that he represents, and understands the benefits of traffic calming. Brett has served as an elected official on the City Council at Plain City, Utah for over 6 years. He has much insight and awareness of a city infrastructure, operations, and improvements. On a side note, Brett is also currently pursuing his MBA. And with that introduction, please allow me to hand things over to Mr. Brett Farron.
Thank you, Karen, and welcome everybody. We're excited to give you this presentation today on our modular rubber traffic calming solutions. I don't want to scare everybody, but I've been advised that maybe it would be better if I turned my camera on and you can see my face. So I'm going to do that. See if this works. There we go. All right. So now you can see what I look like. All right. Let's go ahead and keep moving here. And let's talk about modular rubber and traffic calming solutions specifically for the state of Texas. And we're going to get real granular about Texas and some statistics and data and current users. And anyway, to start out, I want to start out with a poll. I want to ask you a question. So I'm going to launch this poll here. If you just take a second and answer this question, which solution would be least recommended on a primary response route for emergency vehicles? I'll give you a few minutes to submit your answer. All right, I don't see anybody else. I don't see the numbers going up, so I think everybody's given an answer on that. Anybody else want to venture a guess before I close this out? All right. Very good. So let me share the results of this. And there we go. And you're absolutely correct. 100% of you said speed humps. That is absolutely the correct answer. And we're going to get into the why. Speed humps are not recommended for emergency vehicles as we go along here. So let me hide this now. Sorry, there's a lot of technical stuff here that I have to do as I go. I have to remember all the instructions they gave me. So, okay, keep moving here. Let's talk about the difference between rubber and asphalt. Several years ago in my career, I actually sold asphalt. I was an asphalt estimator, and there's some good things about asphalt, and there's some bad things about asphalt. The beauty of rubber, first of all, is it doesn't fade or crack. Anybody who has been around asphalt knows about alligatoring and cracking and crack seal and all the things that it takes to maintain asphalt. And with rubber, this is a molded rubber product that we're talking about today, and no cracking or fading. But I think the most important thing that I can tell you today with the difference between rubber and asphalt, and while I'm talking, you can go ahead and read some of that. I'm not going to read every line on the slide, but I think the most important thing is the consistent profile that you get with rubber. Asphalt is very hard. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it, how good you think you are. It's just really, really hard to maintain the same profile with asphalt because you're having to rake it and you're having to roll it. You can't add 1/4 of an inch or take away 1/2 inch. And rubber is a molded product, and so the profile of rubber is very, very consistent and always the same. So I know I've had a lot of people say, well, our guys are really good, but if you've ever driven over an asphalt speed hump or speed cushions, and you go from one to the next, 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch in height makes a huge difference, especially in a lower profile vehicle. So that's probably one of the biggest advantages of rubber. The second one would be they're easy to move around. With rubber, you unbolt them. We're going to get into the installation procedures. But with rubber, you can easily remove them, do your maintenance, and then put them right back down. With asphalt, if you want to move that location, then you've got to physically remove the asphalt, put the asphalt back down. Takes a lot of equipment, a lot more time consuming. And then the other one that I want to touch on is the highly visible reflective markings that we use, and they're actually embedded into the rubber. So during the compression process, there's when they're installed, and so they're a compressed marking right into the rubber. And so anyway, there's a little bit of a lip there between the top of the rubber and the marking, so they last a little bit longer. With asphalt, you're driving right over those markings, and they tend to wear away quite quickly. So that's probably the main differences between rubber and asphalt. Again, you're going to get in this presentation. You can. Oh, the other one I probably should mention is cure time. If I don't, Bill's going to get after me, but he's absolutely correct that with rubber, you can actually put down half of the road and only block down half of the road. Put down your rubber speed hump, speed cushion, speed table, whatever it is. Leave the other lane open. Once you install that side, you can immediately open it up to traffic. There's no cure time, no dry time, and then you can install the other side of that. And so for safety purposes, traffic and worker safety and everything else, rubber has some advantages there. With asphalt, as you know, there's a cure time and a lot of equipment out there. You have to shut down the whole road if you're going to use asphalt. So those are some things to take into consideration, rubber versus asphalt. I thought this was some really interesting data. This data is actually from the Federal Highway Administration, and that's FHWA, but this is some statistics that they put out there on their website about the effectiveness of rubber traffic calming. So as you look there at the speed hump, you can look at the average daily volumes. If you've used vertical deflection, or what we call vertical deflection is a speed hump, or anytime you raise the pavement, if you will, which you'd be doing with a speed hump, a speed cushion, or a speed table, you're also going to affect the flow of traffic. So traffic counts usually go down because people will find an alternate route through that neighborhood where they don't have to go over those devices. So if you look at the average daily volumes, you can see that those counts go down when these devices are installed. More importantly, go over to the far right and you can see the percentage of change. The before and after 85th percentile speeds, you can see with speed humps, we had a 22% reduction in speed, 15 to 22% reduction in speed, depending on the street where they were used. And then if we get down to speed cushions, again, 16 to 20%, and speed tables, same thing, 16 to 19%. That's pretty significant when you're talking about a residential street where the speed is only typically 20 to 25 miles an hour. And if we're reducing that by 20%, that's a significant increase on a residential road. So very good statistics there, and a lot of things to think about. But again, these are not our statistics. This is from the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA. Let's talk about a few of the solutions. These are actual installations of Traffic Logix solutions. And you can see a lot of the different things that, again, we're going to be talking about today. The upper left-hand corner being our speed cushions. And then we've got our flex curb, speed hump, speed tables, cycle lane. These are all, I'm trying to manage my screen here, so bear with me. Okay, the one I wanted to focus on is one right in the middle of the screen. It says otter crossings, and I'm sure you're all saying, what the heck is an otter crossing? This is an installation that actually was in California, or is in California, Carmel, California. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to create literally a crosswalk for otters as they go back and forth from the ocean. And so that's what this was. And I've driven across it. It's a fun little installation, but there's a lot of different things that we can do with our solutions here. So we're going to talk more in depth about each of these, but I just wanted to show you some actual pictures of some of our installations. Okay, so how do you determine whether you want to use a speed cushion, a speed hump, or a speed table? And we're going to get into the how do you answer the questions, or what questions should you ask when determining which solutions to use here. But it's really all based upon speed. So when we talk about modular rubber, I like to refer to it as a set of Legos. All right. If you look at that diagram there, you can see the little lines that are drawn out on there. That's because that's an individual piece of rubber. Our rubber is 18 inches wide and 42 inches long. So we can build in 18-inch increments across the road, 42-inch increments in length. And when we talk about length, it's the drive over distance. When we talk about width, it's side of the road, side to the other side of the road, the edge of asphalt to edge of asphalt. But it's really all based upon speed. And if you want to put a 7-foot long speed hump or speed cushion, or anyway, those solutions, the smaller the footprint, the lower the speed. The larger the footprint, the higher the speed. And that gives you a basic overview of the design speeds for each one of those solutions. We also want to take into consideration, and again, this is in our questions we're going to talk about, but we want to take into consideration water and being able to allow water to go through the gutter and things like that. The biggest thing between speed cushions, speed humps, and speed tables, just to give you a quick little overview if you're not familiar with them, speed cushions have a gap in the middle. That's designed for emergency vehicles. Our typical speed cushion would be 6 foot by 7 foot. And that 6 foot width, Bill has actually done a lot of research on vehicle wheelbase widths. And if you have want some information on that, he's put together a lot of information, and we can email that out to you if you just send us a request. But the advantage to that 6 foot by 7 foot is the majority of vehicles cannot drive over that without being affected. The speed hump, a speed hump is typically parabolical, meaning that it goes from 0 to 3 inches and 3 inches back down to 0. And we can also go up to 4 inches on that speed hump, but if we go to 4 inches, then we have to add 7 more feet in the middle. And the reason why is, again, our modular rubber pieces, that 42-inch piece goes from 0 to 3 inches, and then we have another piece that went from 3 inches to 4 inches, 4 inches to 3 inches, 3 inches back to 0. So it would take 4 inches or 4 pieces to create that 4-inch height. So that's the smallest 4-inch height speed hump that we can do. Speed hump, again, parabolical. There's no flat spot on the top. And then that's the difference between a speed hump and a speed table, is a speed table does have that flat spot on the top. And if you wanted to take your speed table and make it into a speed hump, all you really have to do is remove the center pieces, push those ramp pieces in, and now you can make your speed table into a speed hump. You can take your speed hump, add pieces, make it into a speed table. You can take your speed hump, take pieces out, make it into speed cushions. It's the beauty of the modular rubber that we have. And I want to make one other point here. So we have our egress slope, which is a 1 in 15, which meets ADA guidelines. That's the entrance slope as you go up that speed hump. And then on the sides, there's also a slope on that. That's a 1 in 3 slope. So technically, we've had a lot of customers use our speed tables for pedestrian crosswalks. And you can do that, but you need to know that those edge ramps are a 1 in 3 slope, which does not meet ADA guidelines. And what a lot of people do will leave those edge ramps off and just pour concrete or asphalt right up to the edge. And then you don't have to worry about that. We've done a lot of speed tables and speed humps with crosswalks. All right, let's talk about what do we need and how do we determine what we need. So as we mentioned here, there's a lot of questions, and hopefully when you call Traffic Logix, you're going to get a salesperson that starts out by asking the first question, which is, what is your posted speed limit? Second question would be, what is your street width? Again, we talk about that gap on the edge of the pavement for water drainage. So if your roadway is, you don't have curbs, let's say you don't have curbs, it's a 36 foot from edge of asphalt to edge of asphalt. Depending on what's on the edge of that asphalt, you may want to leave 12 inches on either side for some water drainage. You don't have to go right to the edge of the pavement when you figure that. It's better to be smaller than it is larger. Okay. Curbs or no curbs, that's an important one. Again, leaving that gap. If there are curbs, don't put this rubber solution into your gutter. We would typically ask you how many lanes of traffic. Is there a median in the middle? That's an important thing to know. Is this in a school zone? And there are a lot of different markings that we can use here, and that's one of the reasons why we asked that question. We're going to get into the markings in just a second here. But is this two-way or one-way traffic? Again, with the arrows, we need to determine where do we want those arrows on those markings. And if it's one-way, obviously you don't want arrows on both sides of your solution there. So is it used by fire trucks or emergency vehicles? Is this, a pass-through route for emergency vehicles? Well, maybe now we need to look at speed cushions instead of a speed hump or speed table. Bike lanes, it's important that we understand bike lanes, and if there is a bike lane there, we don't want to put a speed hump or a speed table or even a speed cushion in that bike lane. Creates a hazard for bicyclists, and so we want to leave a gap there. Don't ever put any rubber solution or any vertical deflection in a bike lane. Let's see, curb parking, and I already talked about median dividers. So those are just some questions that we need to think about when we're determining, are we going to use rubber and how are we going to use rubber? And again, all of our Traffic Logix salespeople have gone through this training and they know which questions to ask. So rely on us when you have questions. We're not traffic engineers. I want to make that clear. So we get a lot of questions about design. How many speed cushions should I use? How should I space those apart? And we're not traffic engineers. We'll give you what ITE would say as far as spacing apart or whatever, but it really depends upon your city traffic engineer to make those decisions. Okay, so here's our markings. And as you can see, we have a lot of different markings available on our rubber solutions. And some of these have just been created over time by customers, and we've added them to our solutions. And you can see that some of them are simply just taking different pieces and kind of integrating them into different solutions in different ways. The lines down the side and the arrows in the middle of the high visibility. I need to back up and say, define what a high visibility is. Those little white squares on those, if it's white squares or yellow squares, we define those as high visibility because you've got a lot of reflective material in there. Makes that solution very, very easy to see from both sides and from a long distance. The more reflective marking you have on those, the more they cost. There's a lot of cost involved in reflective markings. So when you call and ask for a price, make sure that you define which marking you want to use. The most popular marking is in the top right-hand corner. That would be our MUTCD arrow. And we're a little bit unique in the industry because it's, to my knowledge, there aren't any other competitors that can do that MUTCD arrow. And then from there, probably the white shark tooth underneath would be the most popular. And if you want to, again, add some variation to that, add the white lines down the middle, add the fog lines on the side. Those are things that we can do, and your Traffic Logix salesperson can help you with that. But as you can see, there's a lot of things to think about with that top, the upper right-hand corner, that upper arrow there with the two-way arrow. That would typically be like the center speed cushion where traffic may be going over that both directions. But there's just a lot of things to think about. So what we usually ask for, or should always ask for actually, is a diagram. Just draw a diagram of what you think you would like it to look like, how many arrows you would like to have across that solution, and then your Traffic Logix salesperson can help you with the design and making sure that you get what you want. Superflex rubber curbs. This is a solution that gosh, it's universal in use. That picture of that traffic circle or roundabout is actually an installation that was done in Texas. And I want to quickly tell you the story of the three bears because this is really where this comes in. You really can't see it in this particular picture, but if we blew that picture up in the original, you can see that there's a chalk line around that traffic circle where the chalk line is bigger than that traffic circle. What happened on this installation was the customer installed it and it was too big and the traffic couldn't get around it. Big trucks were driving over it, which are designed to be mountable, so that's not a problem, but they wanted to redesign it. So then they redesigned it and they did it too small. And so it took 3 times to do it. It really was the story of the three bears, too big, too small. Finally, they got it just right. And that's the beauty of the Superflex curb. Again, these are bolted down curb pieces. They're vulcanized rubber, and that doesn't really mean anything to you, but with the vulcanized rubber, that 30-inch piece of rubber, I can actually take it and I can bend it completely in half. So if you wanted to do a bulb out or a curb extension or something where you want a really tight circle, then you can do that with a Superflex curb. I've seen median separators, seen a lot of different pedestrian island type scenarios, but there's a lot of different things that you can do with that Superflex curb. And again, it's designed to be mountable. It's designed to be permanent. We can do yellow reflective markings. We can do white reflective markings. It's available in red or black. But the majority of the customers that I've helped with this have gone with the red just because it looks nice. It's a little bit unique. It looks different. And then that center fill-in portion, this has got some paver bricks and some things that you can see there. But I've seen customers just put dirt and plant flowers and trees or bushes or whatever in there. But we just provide the curbing. We don't provide the filler. But that's our Superflex curbing, and it's been a very, very popular solution. And again, traffic circles, bulb outs, curb extensions, pedestrian islands, those kind of things. Our next one I want to talk about is our rubber cycle lanes. This has become more and more popular over the years. I did an install, it's been probably 4 or 5 years ago in the city of San Jose, California, where they had 2 lanes of traffic and they narrowed it down to 1 lane going one direction, and they took that other lane and made a bike lane and then parking next to that. They wanted to separate the bike lane from the parking, so they used our bicycle lane curbing, mounted them end to end, and created a bike lane that bikes couldn't go in and out of, and that vehicles weren't supposed to drive over. Again, you can see it's mountable, it's rubber. That curved edge would be on the bike side. The vertical edge would be on the vehicle side, so it makes it a little harder to mount. It's like a curbing, if you will. Had another installation in the city of Alameda, California. Again, I'm on the West Coast, so I'm talking California here, and I'll let Bill talk about some California customers here in just a minute. But in Alameda, they were doing it in a more of a commuter type bicycle lane where they separated them out 4 or 5 feet and allowed bikes to go in and out of that bicycle lane. So this is unique in that you can decide how you want these to be used, how you want it to be installed, the installation process, and they're bolted down, so easy to remove and easy to change if you want to. Our installation process. There's a video online on our website. I encourage you to go watch that if you have any questions. We also have some detailed printed instructions that go out with all of our rubber orders. I just want to go through this installation quickly and kind of touch on a few things on the installation. First of all, you can see that gentleman in the top right-hand corner. He's carrying that 18-inch by 42-inch piece of rubber. Those weigh anywhere from about 65 to 85 pounds, depending on how much, whether or not they're sloped and how much rubber there is there. So they're heavy solutions, but one guy can move those pieces around without much problem. The way we start that install is we start on one side of the road, and it really doesn't matter which side of the road, but our pieces have a tongue and groove system. It's a patented system where they actually interlock together. So it's important that you start on one side or the other and not try and do both sides and work together, because that last piece you're not going to get in with the interlocking. So if you start from one side, do your chalk line, get your layout, start laying out those edge pieces, and then you can build up against that edge piece once it's secured, bolted down. The way they bolt down, you can see there, we have 2 different anchors and bolts. We have a 4-inch system and we have a 7-inch system. And the little white plastic anchors there, they actually go down in the hole after the hole's been drilled. You blow it out, you put some epoxy, which we include, or adhesive, in the hole. Oh, that's included with your package when you order it. Then you tap that anchor down in there with the installation tool, and then you put the lag bolt down through that anchor. That adhesive is not designed to hold the bolt. The adhesive is designed to hold that anchor to the substrate, whatever's underneath the road. Hopefully, we've got a good 4 or 5 inch base of asphalt there, but even if it's the road base or the gravel underneath, the advantage of having that 7-inch anchor there is it's not going to allow that bolt to come out if you use that adhesive and tighten it down. It does require some maintenance. So every quarter, I would suggest that you go out and you check your solutions and see if you've got any bolts that are working their way out. That's not uncommon for the first little while. You just tighten those down snug. Don't over tighten, but just so they're not sticking up above the rubber, and tighten those back down. That's one of the issues that we have a lot of times is customers will say, oh, the bolts are coming up, and they just allow those bolts to come up. They don't go out and tighten them back down. But the difference between the 4-inch and the 7-inch, the 7-inch we typically use in areas where they don't use a lot of asphalt. So if you only got 1.5 or 2 or 2.5 inches of asphalt, we'd want to use that longer lag bolt and anchor. If you've got 4 or 6 good solid inches of substrate underneath, asphalt underneath or concrete, then you could use that 4-inch system. And these can be installed in concrete or asphalt. The disadvantage to concrete, it's a lot harder to drill through. You're going to use more drill bits. So keep that in mind. But installation, typically, gosh, the question we always get is how long does it take to install? And that is a really, really hard question because it depends on how many individuals are on the crew. It depends on whether or not they've got the right equipment, how much equipment they have, and to be honest with you, how motivated they are. But I know there's a crew in Texas that installed a speed cushion in under 20 minutes. And I think, according to Bill, that's the record that we have. So the typical installation would be, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour for a speed cushion. And then it varies depending on how big the solution is, lengthwise as well as widthwise. All right, so this is a list of a few of our Texas customers. This is not all inclusive by any stretch of the imagination, but it's several of our customers that have and currently are using our solutions in the state of Texas. And I know that Bill got kicked off there. Is Bill back on? Just see if we got Bill here.
Brett, apologies. We're having some technical issues, and we'll see if we can get him back on. Otherwise, I would suggest for you to continue without him in the meantime.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. So with that, let me back up there. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the customers that I'm aware of and some of the customers that I visited. Start out with Amazon. Amazon distribution centers across the United States have used our rubber solutions. They're spec'd on all Amazon distribution centers. So that's been a huge user of ours in the last 2 or 3 years as Amazon has expanded their distribution network. Walmart has also done the same thing with their distribution centers and actually some of their stores. More importantly, let's get into some municipal cities that one that I've just been recently working on with Bill is the city of Dallas. City of Dallas has actually been using our rubber for quite a while, and they're in the process right now of expanding and using more of our speed cushions. We've done a lot in El Paso. We've done a lot in San Antonio. There's numerous counties that have been using our rubber solutions. I've been to Texas many times. I've called on a lot of these customers, but I don't get down there as often as Bill. Bill lives in just outside of Dallas. He's been covering that area for a long time. So I would suggest if you want specifics on any of this, we'll have Bill's contact information, and maybe you can get with him and ask him specifics about any cities that you see there that you want more information on about how they're using it or where they're using it and how long they've been using it. Also, a lot of military bases. That's a very big customer of ours. We've got military bases across the United States that are using our solutions. All right, it's time for poll number 2. I'll go ahead and start this one. If you want to go ahead and answer this question, how many deathless days, this is deathless days, were there on Texas roadways in 2018? Okay, anybody else want to venture a guess before I close this out? Looks like the majority of you have voted. All right, we'll close it and I'll share the results. The results are in. 20% said 15 deathless days in Texas in 2018. And actually the answer is C, there were 0 deathless days in Texas in 2018. And that is a sad statistic, but it just goes to show that traffic safety and what we do is very, very important in saving lives. So we got work to do in Texas. So why do we even focus on traffic calming? This is kind of an obvious answer to this. You can go ahead and read through these. The one that probably surprises me the most, and this is not our statistics, these are statistics that we pulled off various websites, but traffic calming has been shown to reduce crime and increase property value. So I think if people understood that, they would be more apt to allow these types of solutions in their community, because it's a headache to drive over a speed hump or a speed cushion or a speed table. There's a little bit of noise involved. There's some, it impacts everyone in that community. But if they understood the increased property value and reduced crime, that's a whole other issue besides lowering fatality rates and reducing speed. I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the years with traffic calming is, as a city council person, and I have sat in many, many meetings over the years as a city council person and listened to concerned residents come in and say, we have a problem with speed, people are speeding through our community, everybody's going 45 miles per hour. And the reality of what we've found over the years in my job, as well as a city council person, is when we go out and we collect the data, we gather the information, the severity depends on the situation, but really any traffic calming decision needs to be based upon real data. So there's a lot of different ways that you can gather that data. We have our speed tracker data collection box, we have our radar signs. I know there's still a lot of people that want to use tube counters and things like that, but there are a lot of different ways of gathering data. And bottom line is, before you do anything with traffic calming, make sure that you have the data to support that decision. So I love this slide right here. Slower cars save lives. You can read it, but I'm going to give you the gist of it. Vehicle traveling at 20 miles per hour, that pedestrian, if they're hit, has a 90% chance of survival. A vehicle traveling at 30 miles per hour has a 50%, that individual has a 50% chance of survival. And if that vehicle hits that pedestrian at 40 miles per hour, that pedestrian has a 10% chance of survival. So when you start talking about 5 to 7 to 18% reductions in speed, 22% reductions in speed because of traffic calming, look at the difference that you can make in the lives that we can save by slowing people down and helping our pedestrians be safe, especially in school zones. And it's all about people living comfortably and feeling safe in their communities. And this is some really, really good statistics to help them understand that. All right, one last poll. I'm going to share this. What are some of the benefits of using traffic calming solutions? Go ahead and take a minute and answer that. All right, looks like most of our votes are in. Anybody want to throw in a last minute guess? All right, I'm going to close it out. And I'll share the results, and you're all 100% correct. 100% of you said all of the above, and it's true. The benefits of using rubber traffic calming solutions, they can be more affordable. And I think I like the wording of that. They can be more affordable. They're easier to install. They are pre-shaped. So that's the benefits of using rubber. Okay. Here is some good information here. I'm going to pull this up on a piece of paper here, so bear with me because I can't read it on my screen. Texas has more than 13 million licensed drivers, 313,000 miles of public roads, the most miles of any state. We know it's one of the, I believe next to Alaska, it's the largest state in the union. So there's a lot of highways, there's a lot of roadways, there's a lot of residential streets. Unfortunately, Texas also leads in some categories of concern. Most traffic fatalities of any state, most crashes involving distracted and reckless drivers, and the highest number of alcohol-related deaths. Okay, 246,000 people suffered injuries in traffic accidents in Texas, and 3,600 are fatally injured in accidents. That is some harsh statistics. Nearly 86% of speed-related fatalities occur on non-interstate highways. That's what we're talking about today. We're not going to put vertical deflection or rubber traffic calming solutions on highways. But if we could help reduce speed in those rural areas, those smaller residential streets, that's what we're talking about. And then you can see how many people die every month as a result of speed-related traffic crashes. And nationally, speeding-related crashes cost $230.6 billion. That's an astronomical figure. We're all in this together. We are partners with you in finding traffic calming solutions to help you resolve your speed issues, your customer complaints, work with your police departments, whatever it is. We are a one-stop shop for all things traffic calming. We have a variety of solutions. We've just talked about our rubber solutions today, but we can talk about our radar signs. We can talk about our data collection boxes, our speed tracker. We could talk about our speed cameras, which I don't think are actually allowed in Texas for enforcement. But if you've got a school zone where you wanted to do some public shaming, you can do that with a speed camera and put it out there on social media and say, hey, you're consistently speeding through our school zone, please slow down. We have, again, all of our rubber solutions, our bicycle lane solutions, our flex curbing for all kinds of different ways to extend curbs and create islands and traffic circles and things like that. So Traffic Logix is a one-stop shop. We are constantly working on our research and development, coming up with new solutions. If you have thoughts or ideas, please get with Bill or Karen, share those thoughts or ideas so that we can share them with our development team. We have quite a large group of engineers that we work with in-house, and we're constantly trying to find new solutions that can help you be more effective in doing what you do. So allow us to be a partner with you, allow us to help find those solutions, create new solutions, or just unique ways of using what we already have. Why Traffic Logix? We're the only company in the world with full range of ITS and traffic calming solutions. A lot of different companies out there, but we truly are a one-stop shop. And then I didn't mention, but our rubber solutions are recycled tires from landfills. So that's very, very important. You understand that as well. The contact information for Bill and Karen is on this slide. You don't need to take a picture or write this down. Everyone who's a part of this presentation will be emailed this webinar. We've recorded it, and you will be getting it, as Karen said. I don't know if there's any other questions that you have, but if there are, there's a questions thing, as Karen mentioned, and feel free to ask some questions here as we close out. Karen's going to respond to those questions now. I want to thank you for your time. It's been my pleasure to present to you. I've tried not to go into too much detail. You're busy people, so have an enjoyable day. Thank you for your business. We do appreciate your time. And Karen, I'll turn the time back over to you.
Thank you, Brett. So we'll move forward with our question period. I'm finding one question here where someone has asked, are your rubber solutions environmentally friendly? So yes, our rubber solutions are made of 100% recycled rubber, and all our speed cushions, speed tables, and speed humps are an eco-conscious way to protect your streets. Let's take a look at the next question. Are your speed humps removable? Good question. They are definitely removable. They can be removed for road resurfacing, snowplows, or to test the products at numerous locations. As Brett has mentioned earlier on, unlike asphalt and concrete, which must be destroyed during removal, the rubber humps can simply be removed and reinstalled. The next question I have here, who can install traffic calming speed humps? So installing our traffic calming solutions on roads is easy. We do have a user-friendly guide to provide you for your installs, and no road closures or skilled laborers are necessary. Brett did mention that we do have qualified installers in Texas, and if you would like us to provide you with any references, we'll gladly do so. However, our user-friendly guide will guide you step by step in completing your rubber installation. So we're going to wrap up with our question period now, and I'd like to thank you, Brett, Bill, and to all who attended today's webinar on traffic calming. Just a reminder again, we have recorded the session and we'll be emailing it to each of you within the next 24 hours. If there are any questions we didn't have time to answer, and if you would like to contact us, please email us at info@trafficlogix.com, and either Bill or myself will address your inquiries. Thanks again for joining us. Please keep safe and have a wonderful day.